Welcome to Real Talk Christian Podcast, where we drink coffee and have real conversations on faith, culture, and society. I'm your host, Chris Fuller.
And I'm eating a cookie.
And on today's episode,
really good, Janelle.
Today's a hot takes episode.
Hot takes, baby.
Where we tried to answer, and like I said, try.
We're going to try.
We're going to try to answer 9 different questions from you, our listeners. So, Marc, are you ready for this?
Hopefully, we're still friends by the end of this, buddy. So let's go.
Let's go. Can I just say,
I almost forgot to make the music go back up.
Can I just say I was very happy that I didn't botch that intro after so long of not recording. So we are
crushed it.
We are finally back in the studio after what, 2 months?
2 months.
2 months of being out of the studio.
2 whole months, guys.
Between the holidays and surgeries and sickness and
unions
and death and happiness. I don't know.
Death and happiness.
I don't know.
Who dies now? You're happy about it?
Well, no.
I'm not quite sure that's how this is supposed to work here, boss.
Hot take.
Hot take.
No, but
can you be happy when someone dies? Welcome to the podcast. If you knew.
Well, so oh man, that
would be a good question.
So let's lean into that a little bit.
Or no?
Yeah, let's just lean in. Not like theologically, like let's start the show, but like as a quick little fun answer question.
Okay.
Like, can you be happy when someone dies?
I would say yeah.
In a good context or a bad context?
Okay, like I'm thinking of someone like someone in my family who's struggling really, really bad, been battling different types of cancers and sickness and haven't been themselves, and they've been bedridden for years.
Right.
And there's actually someone in our we go to a new small group at a different church at 9 a.m. and they go to our church at 10:30 for worship. But someone was saying that they're finally so like she was like, I am afraid to say it, but I'm relieved because I know my dad is in eternity with Jesus.
Yeah.
And he's been fighting this for so long and became such a burden. And she goes, and he hasn't been in his right state of mind forever.
Right.
And she goes, I know that if he was in his right state of mind, he would not want this.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. Like if Pastor Scott said it once, very, very good, right? It was back when we were recording at the church, back on way back.
That was like 3 years ago.
And we did the whole euthanization episode, right? And he said, listen, 100 years ago, 200 years ago, we didn't have the medical technology to do a lot of the things that we do today. And so people died a lot quicker. So you have to ask yourself in this, like, how much is this like keeping people alive is God?
Such a big question.
And not that he was trying to answer that question, but he's like, you got to ask yourself when you're in those, and each situation is obviously different, but you got to ask yourself, like,
holy crap,
what should I do, right? What should I do in this? Because 200 years ago, this person would already be gone, but should I continue? Is there a chance at them getting better? Is there a chance at, a goodness to life? But then you got to take the other flip side of it and go, like murder is wrong. Right. Like, am I murdering them? And you got to weigh that. And that's kind of the thing that he was saying. You got to kind of weigh those things out. But for me, like, I think that when someone passes, if they know Jesus Christ is their Lord and Savior, man, that can be it's sad for us, but it's a happy occasion for them because they get to go meet their Maker and not be in pain and agony anymore. So it's a bittersweet moment, I guess.
And for us, I mean, Beth and I, we've been watching ER. We're almost done. We're almost done with ER, dude.
Me and Janelle have been watching it for a while,
There have been so many episodes where they have to make these calls, or they have to have their spouses make these calls, or or they will have patients who have been suffering for eons of years, and they're like, I don't want to keep doing this. I don't want the surgery. And I remember there's one episode, dude, your boy almost bawled his eyes out. Like, I was like, I'm not okay, Beth. I'm gonna go walk around a little bit.
I'm letting you a moment
because there was this guy who was dying, and he basically was like, this is it. Like, this is it. And so you literally had to deal with the emotions of watching him slowly slip into normalcy, being like, and then watching him just progress over the entire
priest
episode. No, that was a good one too.
Remember that one where the priest was like slowly, like, oh no, he was a bishop. He was an archbishop.
That was one of the earlier seasons because George Clooney was still on that one. I feel like, right?
No, it was what's the guy's name? The guy from Croatia.
Kovac.
Kovac. Kovac was the one that was taking care of him.
Yep, that's right.
Remember, because he was struggling because his wife and children.
That was a hard one.
Yeah, man, that was a hard. Oh my goodness.
But no, this one guy, you're watching him die, and he was apparently a terrible train wreck of a father, and his kids were like, "You're not our dad anymore."
Yes.
While he's on his deathbed.
Yes, I've seen.
And you're watching him slip into hallucinations of going into the light, but then being terrified because it's not the light, and I'm like, Guys, can we not do this right now? But watching stuff like that, having to be on the ground floor for that, I couldn't imagine, dude.
Can we just talk about like you're sitting here eating cookies while
Absolutely.
we're talking about death, and it's like I saw you like break apart that cookie, and like the chocolate was just like,
dude, Janelle, you're amazing. I didn't take a dairy pill, so I'm sorry for what's about to happen to you, boss.
Man,
but this is good, and our coffee's really good today too.
I put the bag down here so people can see it.
Because we actually brought the bag with us. So
yes.
Zach, bro. We're finally drinking your coffee. So this is shipped from Saskatchewan. And so I was texting with him, and I was like, dude, how stinking cold is it actually up there? Because we've been dealing with, polar vortex off the wazoo.
Right.
Down here, like, the highest, like, last week was 1 degree Fahrenheit.
This weekend, I drove into work a couple times this past weekend.
And you drove in the middle of the night.
No. Right? This is during the day. This is the morning. And when I was driving in, it was -14 without the wind chill.
It was wild.
And I'm like, it's a wee bit cold.
Which, when I was living up in northern Wisconsin, that was normal.
Right,
like, that's what you expected.
Right. But here, it's not.
And so for him, he's like, oh, it's not really as cold. This was before Christmas. It's not really as cold as it should be. I'm like, excuse me?
Right.
It's like, yeah, it's like -40. And in my mind, I'm like, oh, there's Celsius, -40 Celsius. Probably like, what, -20 Fahrenheit?
No, it's the opposite,
when
bro.
you hit negative, it just connects at some point. And so -40 is -40.
Yeah.
Like, they're both the same.
So
which I think is hilarious.
My teeth hurt just thinking about that cold.
Yep. It's like chattering.
Yeah.
But so Zach sent this to us, and he was like, bro, you allowed to bash it if you don't like it on air. So we're about to bash it right now.
No, it's really, really good.
No, this is really good, bro.
So we did it in a French press.
Yes, we did French press.
Which is weird because we didn't communicate how we were going to brew it. And
so I did not grind it for French press.
He ground it for drip, and I'm like, well, let's do the French press because it's clean.
Yep.
So we did it
and we actually had time.
Yeah, we had time.
Yeah.
To chat a little bit, but we did it French press, and man, it's a mean cup. And it's a good cup of decaf.
Zach was looking out because the brother sent us some decaf.
I typically do not like decaf. It's like my most hated thing, but this is actually a good cup of decaf.
No, this is really good. So this comes from Bean North Coffee Roasting Co.
Not sponsored.
And roasted in Yukon, which for us in America, Yukon is like out west.
Wait a second.
Right?
Wait, the Yukon, does it got gold in it? Because that's where all the gold rush stuff is at.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So, like, is that where it is? And then it's shipped all the way up to Canada? No, it's made in Canada.
Yeah, it's made. The Yukon's
there's
in Canada.
French on the bag. The bag is French.
Yeah, that's because
Sabrina, you could read this. Let's see.
I like how as an American you're so surprised. It's like there's French on here.
Dude, I'm surprised there's people that live farther north than us.
If you look at any product of ours in America, there's Spanish. Can you believe that? You're like, there's French. Yeah, look at your product, and there's always Spanish.
Well, yeah, but I don't always just see France.
Well,
like that's slapped right in front of my face.
They speak French up there too.
That's true, but we won. So, no, I'm just kidding.
Actually, we lost.
That's true. Some people think it was a draw.
We tried to take Canada several times and lost. Just saying.
Don't mess with them Canadians.
Just saying.
They ruthless because it's so cold. But since 1997, Bean North Coffee Roasting Co. Limited has been roasting delicious organic fair trade coffee in the northern boreal forest of the beautiful Tahini. That's the heart of Tafiti. Tahini Valley in Yukon.
The Tahini.
We have a passion for great coffees and are committed to the farmers and communities who grow our coffees. Our transparent and direct approach to trade gives you the opportunity to share high quality coffees with you.
So check them out at all your socials at, what is it called?
Go to Bean North because north up cold Canada. BeanNorth.com. That's where it's at. BeanNorth.com. Yeah, like right there. So Yukon is that a territory?
Yes.
I am the most uncultured American swine ever. So, but Zach even wrote us a little note up here, man.
I know. I like it.
It's a little tearjerker. So Zach, I gotta make sure. Thank you for telling us how to pronounce your name because I would have botched it. But Zach Lepke, thank you for sending us a coffee all the way from Canada, bro.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Which,
dude.
Fun fact, we have another listener up in Canada, not Sabrina, who is sending us coffee too. So we're going to be getting some more coffee hopefully here soon from another Canadian listener. So Zach, thanks for powering the podcast.
So I mean,
can you power a podcast with decaf coffee?
You're fueling.
Well,
but you're not really fueling because it's like putting water in a gas tank.
No, it's not.
So we appreciate.
Good though, bro. This is good.
It's good hydration.
This is some good dirty H2O right here.
Ooh, good hydration.
But as someone who drinks decaf almost daily, this is pretty solid.
Yeah, I don't.
Which
drink
side note,
decaf.
did you know there's 2 different ways to make decaf coffee?
Yeah. So you
Swiss water method.
So what you do is,
and then there's like the EA.
So let me go through it. Basically, what you do.
Oh, y'all weren't ready for this one, were you?
You grind up the decaf coffee. And the best way to do it right is you do it in a French press, just kind of like we did, do a coarse grind, put it in there, let it sit for 5 minutes, and when it's done, press it, pull the cap off, and dump it down the drain. That's the way to make decaf.
I was like, where are you going with this?
Wait, really? Interesting.
That's a Rodney Buse joke right there. That's Rodney Buse right there.
Dump it down the drain.
That was clever. But no, there's like a Swiss water method, and then there's like a EA, like it's more like chemicals extract. Swiss water method costs more because it uses tons of water to make it happen. But then the EA method it's not just a water. There's more stuff to it. So it's like they both have their different pros and cons, and they give it different flavor notes and whatnot. I'm learning all this because I'm buying different types of decaf from here locally.
Yeah, it's okay, man. We understand that there's some there's some special people. So
but I drink
it's okay.
half, so that way I can drink 4 cups instead of 2.
It's okay.
It's okay.
It's all right. We'll still love you.
Oh, thank you. But speaking of someone who loves us, we got a review to read before we jump into this hot takes episode.
All right. Well, how about this?
You read the review, then I set up hot takes?
Heck yeah.
Let's do
That's
it.
what I was about to say. All right. So today comes from it's JUF or F JU5T underscore.
I think
it's supposed to be just
like
Ma.
Skater Boy with Avril Lavigne,
right?
With 8,
but it says
instead.
5. So
that song
you
still
know,
slaps. Jesse's with me.
We've been away too long. I got to get used to your lingo again.
Yep.
Anyway,
I say, baby.
Practical living.
Okay,
the hardest part about being a young Christian is the lack of wisdom. But listening to an episode of RTC is like sitting at the foot of your uncle while he talks about life.
Did you just call us Unc?
Basically, you can't talk the lingo anymore, man.
No, I'm Unc now.
You just got called an uncle.
I'm Unc now.
No. He didn't say Unc. He said uncle.
I want to be the cool uncle.
He wanted to make sure this boomer over here understood what he was saying. He called you an uncle. Anyways. Talks about life. If you're ever in need of a practical life advice pertaining to Jesus, this podcast should be your go-to. Keep up the good work. Well, Just Ma, we definitely appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And if you have not already reach out to us. Let us know your name and address. If you're here in the continental United States, we will send you a swag bag, our mini swag bag. And if you have not left a review yet, please leave a review.
Yep.
Reach out. Let us know you left a review.
It will hook you up.
And we'll hook you up. So.
Yeah, it's been a whole lot of fun seeing this podcast grow. Like, this is the first time we've sat here in 2024.
Yep.
So we haven't even reflected on the last year. But last year for the podcast was wild, man. We hit number 32 at one point on the charts.
We doubled our down. I just looked at this today because I was like, man, what did we end up doing for 2023, right? Mm-hmm. So going into 2023, we had like 420,000 downloads, right? So from 2019 to 2023. Mm-hmm. Or to 2022, I'm sorry. No, we're up over 800,000. We almost doubled our downloads in 1 year.
Holy crap.
So, and that's all because of you guys, not because of us. It's because of you guys and sharing and everything you guys do. So we definitely appreciate it. But yeah, God has done some amazing things. We've gotten to experience some cool things. We got to hang out with like Sidewalk Prophets. We got to see Ren Collective. We got to, not really hang out with them. But
we hung out with Marc of Sanctus Real for a little while.
But dude, Marc Graham, Sanctus Real, the drummer.
That dude was amazing.
Man, that guy is so cool. He's like, it was like,
he's a full-time youth pastor too, right?
Yeah,
like he is a youth pastor who plays drums.
But the best thing was like when we sat down with him, it was just like sitting down with one of your buddies. Like he was so real and down to earth. It was just like, hey, like we were a little starstruck at first. We're like, oh my goodness.
And our audio quality wasn't too great.
No,
we're gonna work on to making the audio quality flawless next year.
And I'd like to set up because we tried to sync the video and the video didn't come out and it didn't work. So we're gonna try to figure out all of that.
We got work to do before the summer hits with Getty.
We
Revive Fest.
So we have. We got 2.
No, we can't tell them yet.
We got 2 interviews coming up.
We can't tell them yet.
If you have not already, Revive Fest. I know a few of you guys came and hung out with us last year, and we had a blast.
Yep, I think Austin and Kayla, I think you guys were looking at actually getting campsites, I think, but I think they're sold out.
I think they had a few primitive campsites left last time I looked.
Yeah, Austin ain't that. Austin's bougie, so
but
Kayla
anyways,
can handle it, but not Austin.
I think there's some left, but there's a lot of hotels and stuff around here.
Who just gave out the thumbs up on the screen?
What?
Are we actually live? Are we live right now on YouTube?
Did we go live? Did I? Oh, you know what? I didn't.
Are we live?
Oops.
Hey, we're live.
Well, we went live.
Are there any comments yet? Because we just got a thumbs up on Instagram or on YouTube.
We are. Well, guess what? You guys get a sneak peek.
Can you check to see if are we actually live right now?
We might have accidentally gone live.
We're live.
You are live.
What's up, guys? You're hanging out live.
It was supposed to be in the private chat.
No, it says you're live. No, we're private. We're correct. So where did that thumbs up come from? Who knows?
Yeah. Okay. Anyways.
Who knows? That threw me off. Either way, we're back.
Yeah, because we got zero people on right now.
All right, so
anyways,
before we jump into the hot takes, check out Revive Fest. We want to hang out with you guys there. We're emceeing that mug again. We got to get some more fun things.
Yeah, we got to figure out what we're gonna do. We probably won't do as much as we did last year, but maybe we will. I don't know. We'll
in terms of giveaways, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. In terms of give,
I just want free food again. That's all I want. I want free brisket.
Oh my goodness.
Free barbecue fries.
I can't take you anywhere.
Free carne asada.
Anyways.
Free ice cream. That Amish ice cream. Yo.
Anyway, so let's dive into the episode tonight.
Cool. Only took us 16 minutes, guys. We're here. It's the first week back. We're sorry. So with this episode, all right. So inside of the Facebook group, we have a lot of different fun conversations. We've gone live in the Facebook group, and if you guys join us with that, those are always fun. Where sometimes we just take your questions and then we just go at each other based on what the question is with no prep or anything like that. But we were getting so many different random questions that I was like, all right, guys, let's just make a hot take episode. Give us your questions that you want us to give our hot takes on. And so there were some like that didn't quite make the show because there was just a massive list. So I just took 9 different questions. Some are we don't know the answers. Some are just speculatory about what we can say or what we can't. Not like censored, but more like we just don't know.
There's not enough information.
The first question will tell you what I mean. Some of them, though, we probably could go off on for a couple hours with different conversations because you and me might have slightly different opinions on. So I just spilled coffee all over my pants. We might have slightly different. Sorry, Janelle. I got my.
Oh, you don't have it on.
What? Oh, your sound pads. No, I can't rewind that. My leg is wet. I feel like I peed myself.
Yeah, you're wet.
Wow, I am.
Anyways,
my jeans are
so you picked out 9 different questions. Some that we can answer, some that we probably can't.
And so we might have to, if we're in the middle of one, we might have to like pause and say we'll get a whole episode of this one. So I don't know how the conversation is going to go.
Sure,
I don't know how much fighting we're going to do.
We're not going to do any.
Oh, we're going to do a little bit. So I don't know how many.
See, this makes me nervous because you coming in looking for a fight.
I'm coming in looking for a fight,
and you had time to prep because you looked at these questions and you wrote these questions down. So that's cheating.
No,
that's like
being prepared.
That's like sucker punching right there. You're like, oh, swinging on him. He doesn't know he's coming.
I gotta be prepared because I'm little.
That's
big.
That's messed up, bro.
I need an advantage from the high ground.
Anyways,
so we're gonna go through the questions. We'll give our hot takes. We'll discuss a little bit, and then we'll move on.
All right,
we might not agree. Some of these we might have to agree to disagree. We might just have to say we agree to agree, or we might just say, yeah, we don't know. So let's just move on to the next question.
All right,
we'll find out. Question number 1 for the hot take episode. So, what do you think happened to Jonah after the book finished? That's a good question.
That is a good question.
What do you think happened to Jonah? So,
the thing that happened.
If you don't know, Jonah in the belly of the whale, then he went into the city of Nineveh, preached the gospel, people repented and turned from their sin, and then Noah was all ticked off and pouty and went up and sat under a tree and basically cursed God because he didn't want the Ninevites to repent. And you literally are left with him having a little pity party for himself under a tree that God gave him on a mountain.
Yeah.
Like that's how it ends.
Yeah, pretty much.
There's no resolve.
Wait, let's see if we can. I'm gonna pull.
Yeah, read it. I'm gonna like you read the end of the story, and you're like,
and just so everybody can get context of exactly how it ends.
It's one of those books where you're like, are we missing a chapter? I feel like we're missing a chapter. It's kind of like watching a Disney movie, and then right before it all ends, the power cuts out, and you're like, what happened? Like that's what I kind of feel like happened here with Jonah.
All right.
So you there yet?
Yeah, I'm getting. Calm down. All right. So it's the chapter 4 ends at verse 11. I'm going to go back to verse 8. Okay. This is ESV, by the way. When the sun rose, God appointed a scorching east wind, and the sun beat down on the head of Jonah, so that he was faint. And he asked that he might die, and said, "It is better for me to die than to live." But God said to Jonah, "Do you do well to be angry for the plant?" He said, "Yes, I do well to be angry enough to die." He was pouting because the plant died that God caused to spring up. And the Lord said, "You pity the plant for which you did not labor, nor did you make it grow, which came into being in the night and perished in a night. Mm-hmm. And should not I pity Nineveh, that great city in which there are more than 120,000 persons who do not know their right hand from their left, and also much cattle?" And that's literally
how it ends.
It ends on a question.
So here's I have a theory.
That last verse is basically saying, when he says they don't know their right hand from their left, he's saying they don't know right from wrong. Should I not have pity on them?
Right. And it's also like when Jesus was talking about the sheep, where it's like, how can a sheep know where to go without a shepherd? You know, like they don't know their right hand from their left hand. Like it's kind of like a little kid where it's like, they don't know. Like, so
he's not saying that they were right for doing wrong. What he's saying, should I not have mercy on them?
Right. So question then is, what's your theory on why the book ended that way? What's your theory?
It's a good question.
I have a thought.
Go for it.
I have a thought. My thought
I've never really thought about it, so.
I mean, this just kind of popped in my head, so I might be blowing smoke, so we'll see what happens.
Speculatory comments by Marc Hyde.
This is the Marc Hyde translation.
Just throwing it out there.
So here's fun conversation, right? Is the whole idea of, is the Old Testament God a vengeful, bloodthirsty bully?
We've talked about doing an episode on this
and
for
it's hard.
3 years.
I still listen to so much content around these different ideas, these different arguments.
So I have a thought on that, but go for it.
And so
we'll let you go first.
So many times in the Old Testament, we see God, and it's like, not saying we, but a lot of people accuse God of just being mean and wrathful and slaughtering people and killing people and going to here and, going into Jericho, don't leave man, woman, or child, and cattle, kill all them fools. That's where it goes. But then here for Nineveh, God is like, why shouldn't I have pity on them? They don't know what they're doing.
Right.
Which then opens the question of, do all these other places know what they are doing? And so therefore, God can hold them liable because they knew right from wrong. Whereas Nineveh, they were a bunch of wicked people, the Bible says at the beginning, right? Like they were one of the wickedest cities of all time, according to the book of Jonah. But at the end, God says they don't know their right hand from their left hand, aka they don't know what they're doing. They're completely clueless. Why would I destroy them if they have no idea what's going on? So I have a theory that this goes right in the face of everybody else, where it says all these other people in the Old Testament that God had slaughtered, they knew exactly what they were doing, and they still chose to do it. Whereas, and it shows God's compassion on whom he will show compassion and mercy on whom he will show mercy. And he goes, why on earth would I not show them compassion? They don't know what they're doing. And so that's my thought with that. Now, what happened to Jonah? My guess, I think, I don't know. I think it'd be funny if Jonah growed up to be like, Scrooge, where he was just like an old, grumpy prophet. I should never went to Nineveh, and they told them about the Jesus, and then they got forgiven. They should have been dead with them. I think that'd be kind of humorous, but I don't know.
I want to read Jonah chapter 3 in response to that, okay? So Jonah chapter 3 says, Then the word of the Lord came to Jonah the second time, saying, Arise and go to Nineveh, the great city, and call out against it the message that I tell you. So Jonah arose and went to Nineveh according to the word of the Lord. Now Nineveh was an exceedingly great city, 3 days' journey in breadth. Jonah began to go into the city, going a day's journey, and he called out, Yet 40 days, and Nineveh shall be overthrown. And the people of Nineveh believed God. They called for a fast to put on sackcloth, from the greatest of them to the least of them. The word reached the king of Nineveh,
and he arose. That's the easiest sermon of all time.
And he arose from his throne, removed his robe, covered himself with sackcloth, and sat in ashes. And he issued a proclamation and published through Nineveh, by the decree of the king and his nobles, let neither man nor beast, herd nor flock taste anything. Let them not feed or drink water, but let man, beast be covered with sackcloth, and let them call out mightily to God. Let everyone turn from his evil way and from the violence that is in the hands. Who knows? God may turn and relent and turn from his fierce anger, so that we may not perish. When God saw what they did, how they turned away from their evil way, God relented of the disaster that he had said he would do to them, and he did not do it. So I think the difference between Jericho and these other things, right?
Okay.
Was the fact that when a word was preached, so the Jericho obviously had an idea of who the Israelites were. These other Canaan, all these other cities where God had completely wiped out and destroyed, knew who the Israelites were and the God that they worship, because how could you not? Every kind of culture kind of knew whose gods worshiped what or whatever.
Right.
The difference with Nineveh is when Jonah came with the message basically saying, repent and turn, right?
And they were like, okay.
They did. They obeyed. And not just obeyed, but did so much as putting on sackcloth and mourning and weeping and really truly repenting and showing that repentance, fasting and all this stuff to show that they have turned from their evil ways. They true repentance is what they did, which is why God spared them. This is why he didn't spare others, though, I think. So I think that's the difference maker.
Yep. All right, so let's do the next question. So that's a bit of a softball question. That was more just let's think about it, theorize a little bit, see what's going on with that one.
I don't think we really went into what happened at the end of the book.
We didn't.
But we talked about what surrounded the book.
That's true. That's true. But this next question is a doozy. So you guys ready for this one? So is surrogacy an option for Christian couples who cannot have a baby themselves? Surrogacy, which is normally, traditional surrogacy is you use a different woman to carry the baby, whether it's like, however you want to do. We all know what surrogacy is. But here's where the hot take comes in, right? So is surrogacy an actual viable option for Christian couples who can't conceive? Because in the last month, the Pope just deemed this sinful and wants it banned worldwide. The Pope has spoken. And he said surrogacy should be banned worldwide. And there are other places, like I know there's an episode of Madam Secretary. It always go back to Madam Secretary. There's your bingo, Sabrina. Where they were trying to, because of the vice president's son and daughter-in-law, or his daughter and son-in-law had a surrogate over like in Vietnam or something like that. But they viewed it as sex trafficking. Because you were using someone else's body to produce a kid, because you can only get kid one different way.
It depends.
So it was illegal over that country.
But I guess it would depend on if it was forced upon or not.
Exactly. That's what they said. They were like they volunteered.
Right. If it was voluntary, I don't think.
I don't know if it's still illegal in some countries. But either way, the Pope, the head of the Roman Catholic Church, put his foot down on surrogacy, because you have to think of the Catholic doctrine of reproduction. That's what I'm looking for, because they don't believe in birth control.
Right.
They don't believe in any type of surgery to prevent, whether it's like vasectomies or tube ties. They don't believe in that either.
Right.
It's just God opens the wombs and closes the womb. That's what they believe. And so have a ton of babies, which that's why people ask the Hydes all the time, are you guys Mormon? Are you guys Catholic? And we're like, neither. We Baptist. But which is a really fun conversation.
We adopt.
Which is a really fun conversation. But what do we like? What's our hot take on this? Is surrogacy a sin or not?
It's a good question.
It's a good question, and it's a scary one, because we know some good friends who have done like this or IVF or other different styles.
I personally, I say that strongly as a personal. I would have to study it really to get a good biblical view. You're not going to hear Chris Fuller's biblical view. You're going to hear Chris Fuller's hot take opinion at this time.
There's a hot takes, baby. Let's go.
January 19th, 2024.
I need some fire crackle in the background.
So it could definitely change.
Don't send yourself to the hot place.
I'm trying to preface all this because I don't want people to be like, well, you said back, if I ever changed my opinion, to say, well, you said. I'm prefacing this is an unstudied opinion, just hot takes,
bro. It's just you and me chatting.
I do not see it as a sin, just because we have friends that have done this and have had children who were snow babies, right? And those babies would never have been born had they not done this type of thing. And so I can see great things that come out of that. Now, also on the flip side, there's some evil things where people, abuse women and do the sex trafficking and force it upon them. And I think that in itself is a sin. And so that it really depends, in my opinion, on your heart behind it. And is it mutual? And I can see it as a huge blessing. If Janelle was really close and they had, to somebody who couldn't have a child, right? And they wanted to have a child, and Janelle wanted to give them this gift, right? That they really desired. I don't see a problem with that.
Now, but could it turn into a form of idolatry where you idolize, I must, carry full term, I must give birth, or I must be the dad, that must be my seed, that must be my DNA. Could that become idolatry to the point where
it definitely could.
You turn your back on all these other kids who are already born?
I'm not drawing a line in the sand anywhere, because I think also on the flip side, you can turn adoption into idolatry. If you worship and idolize, and that's what you think about, and that's constantly you're constantly pushing it, and that's all you're ever doing. It could be a form of idolatry. You could become obsessed with an adoption process.
Well, we know some people who we would say have crossed the line of, you do this for the recognition and for the pat on the back,
and that's the idolatry,
or the people who do it for the money. Like that's not okay.
So to me, it's more of a. Each case has to be taken on its own merit.
Okay.
right? It's hard to make a blanket statement to say, this is all wrong, this is all right. It's what's the heart behind it? What's the motivation behind it? Have you looked into alternatives? Is there, there's lots of different questions you could ask.
This is the question I ask is, because surrogacy, I mean, there's different types where you take someone else's egg with your husband's sperm, like if you can't produce the eggs, or vice versa, if the guy can't produce, the sperm and the eggs, totally cool. Like there's different. My chair just squeaked. There's a lot of different causes for it, right?
Sure.
But is this us playing God and saying, I will create life?
So here's the question.
Versus just it naturally happening.
So here's the question.
Right.
And I'm gonna hit you personal to home.
Oh, crap.
So if Lennox was not to have the heart surgeries and the surgeries, are we acting like God giving him the surgeries?
And that's a fair question.
So that's what I go to.
That's a fair question.
Is it that God has given us the wisdom and knowledge and given our doctors the skill to be able to do this, right? Has he done this? Is this still him? It's his works through other people. And that's kind of the way I look at medicine, right? Doing it with the right hearts of, hey, prolonging and helping a little baby boy. It's not his fault he is the way he is, right? And we can help him. I think that is a gift of God. That's a great thing.
No, I agree.
And so that's where I say, no, I don't think it's playing God, right? I don't see it as playing
but
God.
I feel like that's a slightly different thing, though, because this is more of a surgery to help a life that's already here go.
Sure.
This is more of, I can't have a kid. All I want to do is have a kid. All I want, because you hear moms of, I was born to be a mom, but I can't give birth. So therefore, I will force this to happen and someone else will carry it for me and we'll pay them 40 G's.
But what about somebody
Gs.
who was in an accident or something like that it was
or
taken,
like had mastectomy
that was taken from them, right? So but they desire that, right? Now again, some people are totally okay with adoption, but as you guys know, adoption's hard.
Freaking hard.
Because most kids that are adopted out don't come from a good family.
No, there's a reason why
you have to have
have
a special heart for that.
Right.
I really believe wholeheartedly that not everybody is made for adoption. To adopt. I wholeheartedly believe that. And I know we may disagree on that.
No.
But you have to have such a heart for that.
Right. And I never felt called to foster or adopt either. Sure. But I was given this gift of being able to be these girls' dad. But that's a gift.
Yes, but you were also given the gift of you've always interacted well with children. Youth minister, right? That's a gift that you were given. But
having a 12-year-old girl in my house is a lot harder than
I understand. I get that. But you were still gifted in a way that though you may not have been felt called to do that, it still meshes well with the calling that your wife has. We were talking about that
in our Sunday school class. I said, I always felt called to take care of kids, or more so teens. When my dad passed away, because my youth pastor and my pastor stepped up to the plate and became spiritual fathers for me. I want to do that for other people too. And I get to literally do that for 5 extra girls.
Right.
The fact of not just like I get to be a father figure or get to be a good influence. I'm their dad.
Right.
Like, holy crap, that's awesome.
Right.
But so going back to the surrogacy thing though, that was a cookie burp. Thanks, Chanel. Those were yummy. That's my 4th cookie, by the way. That's my 4th one. It was yummy.
It's the winter bod
dad bod's coming out, bro. But so with surrogacy, should it be banned? That's a hard one.
So I would say,
hard one. I honestly don't know, because
is it a sin? Let's deal with that. Let's not talk about banning. Let's talk about
does it go against the law of God? I would say no.
I don't see it.
It doesn't go against the law of God.
Again, this is
it doesn't go against the law of God.
I have not specifically studied this subject in God's scripture, so this is just my opinion off the top of my head.
It doesn't. This wasn't an option. I mean, the only thing closest that we have is with Abram, Sarah, and Hagar.
Yeah, Hagar.
Where if a wife couldn't produce an heir, and now this was just cultural. The first handmaid would and then get pregnant, and then that would become their kid and not.
Also, it wasn't the handmaid's choice, though. Think about it that way.
But they
didn't get a choice in that matter.
That's kind of is what it is.
To me, like that's a different subject.
Right. That's true.
That you got to me.
That's the only thing close. It's the only closest thing.
Right.
But should it be banned? Is it that's the thing is it a sin? Does it go against the law of God? I would say as long as you don't have an idol in your heart of you want to be a mom so bad and give birth so bad that you will do anything
likewise
to make it.
On the flip side, if being not a parent is an idol in your life,
that's true,
or being a foster parent is an idol in your life,
it's true.
Really, you have to check your heart, and that's why I say each individual has to determine this for themselves
that's why,
in their situation, because anything could be an idol. I could make drinking water an idol if I wanted to. If it's like, oh no, sorry, Mark, I got water.
No. I'm connected with someone on LinkedIn where she said she had what did she call it? She had some eating disorders, but she also called it like an exercise addiction or something like 100%. That. And I'm like, that's a thing?
Yes, 100%. Where they're addicted. I've known people that are like that. They're addicted to the gym. Like they can't live a day without going to the gym. And it's not like a little time. It's like 6 to 8 hours at the gym is what they spend. They spend a work day at the gym. So, I mean, you can make anything an idol. And we've talked about this. Yep. I mean, you can make food, you can make coffee. We've talked about all this stuff, and it becomes an idol in your life. That's where it becomes a sin, if you make it an idol. And so I think that's where I'm going to leave. Is it a sin? It's only a sin if you make it an idol. And that's where I'm going to leave my opinion.
I think that's fair. I also don't think it's fair because, there's the whole my body, my choice thing. I feel like a religious like a religious leader could say, like, I don't believe this is God's will, but this is where the power of the Pope can get a little out of hand, where if he goes, I want it banned everywhere and you all should ban it. So now all these bishops all of a sudden are going to start wanting to ban.
And what happens if somebody has a kid out of that? Or do they get excommunicated from the church? That's my next question. Like, and what's the reasoning? Like, I would love to know the reasoning why he wants it banned. Like, what his scriptural backing? That's what I want to know.
I don't think there is scriptural backing.
Well, but that's what I want. The Pope is saying it for a reason, so I want to know what his thinking is behind it.
Yeah,
I'm just because I'm curious. But anyways,
we've gotten through 2 questions so far, guys. Question number 3. We'll try to make this one quick. Here we go. Should Christians fight for animal rights?
Animal rights.
Animal rights. Should Christians fight for animal rights, like animal preservation? The pipeline up north, animal sanctuaries.
So,
do all dogs go to heaven?
We should
do some animal blessings in church. We got all the fun questions.
You're really throwing out some stuff.
Well, that's what it is.
We are called to care for the things that God has given us and be good stewards of whatever God gives us. Most people like to attribute that to just finances or family or like children, but I think it applies to more than just that. We should care and take care of our resources, but they are resources that we can use.
Right, and Adam was told to tend the garden, which the animals were included in that garden.
Definitely. So also, God is the first person to kill something to make clothing.
It's true.
God commanded sacrifices of animals. So that's where I go, okay, they are a resource, but we should care for the resources and we should be good stewards and not just do unnecessary killing of trees, unnecessary, we should use what we need to use in order to survive. Not like, so my dad always taught me, hey, I grew up going, he goes, if you kill it, you eat it. Because it's a resource of God. So if you're going to kill that frog, you're going to eat that frog. And I'm like,
oh, wait, really?
I'm not going to kill that frog then. Yeah, because I used to do all stupid stuff. I was a boy.
Eat a lot of stink bugs.
So he was like, well, no, bugs were a different thing. But yeah, so it's the same, kind of thought process for him. Now, I'm not taking it to that extreme, but to me, it's like, I don't unnecessarily kill things. If I kill them, it's going to be for a purpose, right? If I'm killing the stink bug, it's because they're an invasive species, and it's going to end up killing the environment if I let them live. So that's like, and it's in my house. I'm going to kill it.
Yep.
Spiders. Spiders can become, if left unchecked, invasive species. Any species of animal or insect or fish can become invasive and totally destroy an ecosystem if left unchecked. So I think that there is reasonable thought process behind some of the stuff. Now, I think we've taken it too far, which is why we've had to do animal preservations, like, the bald eagle, they were hunted near extinction, or
and like some the white rhinos
exactly.
Or elephants with their tusks.
That's us as humans. We weren't taking care of those resources which God gave us. So I think we as humans sinned in those areas of we didn't care for and make sure that it was a lot of unjust killing. We're killing them for their horns and their tusks, and that was stupid. Like, that's not the reason why we do that. So that's why.
Yeah, and I do think like we should be against things like dog fighting and cockfighting and stuff like that, because that's letting animals use and abuse themselves for their own pleasure. It's like modern day Coliseum type crap. But when I think of
football. Sorry.
Do you care who's going to win the Super Bowl this year? Do you care who's going to win the Super Bowl this year?
The team I was rooting. Well, okay, my team is the Bears.
You don't want to see the Chiefs win and have Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift kiss while the confetti comes down.
No, I was I was really pulling for, once the Bears got knocked out, I was pulling for the Eagles, but they're knocked out now too, so I don't know.
Jason Kelce retired, man. Jason Kelce.
Yeah, so I'm not sure. Anyways.
I just have a heart for the Green Bay. I was a big Green Bay fan growing up, so we'll see if Jordan Love can do it.
Again, Bears fan? No.
Or Baker Mayfield. I love seeing Baker Mayfield win.
I'd pull for the Lions.
Tampa Bay.
I'd pull for the Lions.
I feel like everyone has to.
I mean, they have never won a Super Bowl.
They've never won a playoff in Ford Field until last week.
They've never been to a Super Bowl.
That's true.
I'm kind of pulling for the underdog.
And let's be honest, Detroit needs a W in some way, shape, or form. So, that's just facts.
Listen here, the Tigers do pretty well some seasons.
But the Pistons for sure ain't doing well this year from basketball. But with animal rights, though, like obviously we don't want to let animals fight, or we shouldn't be abusing animals as well. But I do think people go too far, though, where when we had all those Canadian geese that were all in Mishawaka in their containment of water, and so they lured a bunch of them into the city park and had slaughtered like hundreds of them. Right. Like they had massive visuals and walks and marches and rites and all these different things. Same for the deer down at Potato Creek, because the deer were just rampant, so they were open season, baby, go get them.
But that's the thing, right? They were destroying the ecosystem.
They were destroying the ecosystem.
They were left unchecked.
But the question that some people have is, should animals have the same rights as humans do in a lot of regards? And you and I would both say no, they don't.
Right.
But at the same token, yes, we need to take care of our environment and take care of what God has entrusted 100%. Us to take care of, and also eat bacon and steak while
also recognizing sin is going to corrupt and destroy this earth.
Absolutely.
Anyway, slowly over time, as it has. So we're not going to be able to totally preserve the earth.
Right. Now, I will say, yes, we should take care of animals, and I'm thankful for animal sanctuaries. But I've seen a lot of people try to guilt people into we should be like foster dog parents and this, that, and the other. Yeah. And I'm like, there's a lot more kids who need home more than a dog does. So... Was that a goat?
No, it was a sheep, man.
That was hilarious.
I just looked down and was like, oh yeah, I forgot about the sheep.
Question number 4, anyway. 42 minutes in, folks. I just mentioned the time again. Bingo.
Here's the thing. Let's do the next.
Dude, these are all the hard questions.
Let's do the next question.
And then do part 2?
Let's do a part 2.
Can I at least read the questions? People are ready for them next week? Yeah. All right, so I'm going to read all the questions, then we'll do the next one.
Let's do the next one first, and then we'll read all the questions, then we'll give our final thought on the first 4. Okay. And then we'll do fun fact.
Because people are going to love our next handful of questions.
All
right. So here we go. So number 4, I think that's one we can go into a little bit. Can I love Jesus, but not like the church? Or can I love Jesus and just not really be in the local church game? Like I love Jesus. I love saying the word. I love what he's all about. But man, them churches suck.
Yeah.
Because we do see some of this conversation in the Facebook group that's been really fruitful conversation. It's been really good. People have been hurt, or they can't find one.
So somebody I know who's going to remain nameless just asked me a similar question. They listened to our "Should Christians Be Church Members" episode.
Oh, and was that a 2-parter?
I don't remember.
I don't know.
But this person did not agree with us that they should be a church, that they should be a member, they should be able to hop from church to church.
Oh, so not so much as membership biblical, but if we're part of the church, what local church does it really matter?
Right.
And that's part of this question. Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. It kind of ties all into this
because the church was the gathering, the called out ones, maybe not the corporatized church that we see in America, specifically America today.
So I'm going to give a similar answer in which I gave to that person who asked me that question.
They said you weren't prepared.
They still didn't believe me, or not believe me. They still didn't agree with me is the correct word. I don't, because it's me giving an opinion again.
So hot take.
Anyways, I would say it is important you can not like a church body, right? There could be certain church body. I don't particularly like a mega style church that we have here in the community. I don't like their style. I don't like how they handle things. I don't like how they handle the scriptures. That's just me. I don't have a preference for it, right? I guess that's a better word. And not liking, it's not my preference. It's not my preferred way to worship and to gather. That's not for me. I think we're called to love our brothers and sisters because we're called to even love our enemies, right? And do good by our enemies. So if we're called to do good and love our enemies, likewise, we are called to love our brothers and sisters in Christ.
Right.
So we're all faulty humans. We're all going to make mistakes.
Everybody makes mistakes.
Church is messy. If you go to a church thinking it's going to be perfect and you're never going to be hurt or offended by anything or by anyone, I hate to tell you, it's going to happen eventually. I also believe it is extremely important, like we talked about before in other previous episodes, to be part of a body. and it's for several aspects of one. It's the biggest thing is accountability, right? If you're not in a body, who are you accountable to? I submit myself to my pastor and my leadership team, right? They have all aspects and visuals, and they ask me stuff, and I share openly and honestly with them because they're my trusted brothers. Now, some people may be involved in a church, which it's into our other episode we have is when is it okay to leave a church, right? We went into that episode before. And it goes in, if you haven't heard that, I don't know what number it is.
I don't remember either.
But go back and just type in our website in the search, but leave church or something like that. I'm sure it'll pull up because he's got pretty good algorithms in there. Anyways, I love it. You're going to pull it up, aren't you? There you got to take that. If you're not, obviously, if you can't trust or feel you can't trust, maybe you need to be looking at that, finding another body. But I think it is important to be plugged into a body where you can have community, you can find your tribe, you can have those relationships, you can have that open accountability with believers, but you're also working and serving and worshiping with other believers, which strengthens us. It edifies us in our faith doing those things. And I know people don't want to believe that, but some of the best times I've ever had, and this is what I hear in our church, people go, I feel closest to God when I'm serving with others. And it is so true because you gather and you have the same goal and you serve together for the Lord to accomplish that goal that he has set forward for us. And so because of all that, I think it is important to be in the church, to be able to serve, to worship together, to edify each other, to have that accountability with each other, and to just have people to live this faith out with, to have these types of conversations with that may not be as easily accessible if you're not involved in the church.
Episode 220, by the way, is when should I leave my church? Now, to answer the question of can I love Jesus but not the church, I think in some regards you can say, yeah. Like, I think you could love Jesus and not love the church because, again, like we said, the church is full of broken people and sometimes do broken things. Now, there's a but. What was your but?
Well, but then what do you do with loving your enemies?
And that's a good question. What if your enemies are the church, folks in the church?
I mean, aren't you called to love then? So even if you don't, that's why I say like and love are two different things. You don't have to like the church, but you got to love the church.
And there is something to be said. And again,
maybe we should talk about liking the church rather than loving.
That'd be a good. That's a good.
Anyways,
degree of separation for that though. But we here are blessed here in Michiana where there are many different kinds of churches when it comes to style, whether it's more traditional, smells and bells. We're right by Notre Dame, so we got Catholic churches in every single little community.
We've got apostolic temples, the Brethren,
Methodist, we got all over the place.
Whatever you
community
want.
churches, Baptist, American, Southern,
mega churches,
Lutherans.
Small churches.
we love our Missouri Synod churches. We got some of those around here too. So we have so many different styles and types of churches where I could say, like, you can kind of pick the type of one you want within a 30-minute drive. If you live down in the South, you're in the Bible Belt, you have a lot of different options as well. But I do know we have some listeners who are, like, over in Utah, and they're like,
Mormon City.
We don't have that.
Yeah.
Like, there's one church, and I don't want to go to that one because it is, whoa, we ain't doing that. Right. And so I do feel for the people that can't find a local body to be a part of. But, in the catechism that we're going through with the kids, one of the questions is, I don't think it's like, what are the marks of the church, but it's more about like kind of what are the main elements that are inside of a church? And the answer is the word, discipline, and the sacraments. Like that's the answer. And the idea is the fact of in the church, the Bible is preached and taught and studied and applied to all areas of life. And then there's discipline because there's actually safety in that as well. Because when you're inside the church and you're discipling together, you're learning to grow in your faith with one another, there is protection from the outside because the Bible says that the devil's like, he's like a roaring lion seeking whom he may devour. And also when you're a sheep and you're inside of the sheep pen with the shepherd at the gate, Jesus being the great shepherd, there's a lot of protection inside of that as well. But there is also the church discipline side of, if people are intentionally or even unintentionally hurting other people inside the body, the elder's job is to remove that person so that way the body can be okay. And so many times, sadly, and this is where a lot of the reasons why people hate the church is because the elders, in my opinion, don't have the guts to do what they're called to do, where they just let seeds of discontentment and sows like in discord and murmurings and busybodies and gossip and slander and opinions to go rampant in the church where all the good people leave because they don't want to be part of that, or they're hurt so they go because they don't want to hurt the person who's doing all these different things rather than putting their foot down. And I'm not saying we should walk around in church discipline the living tar out of folks either.
Yeah.
But there is something to be said.
There's a line. There's a line you got to walk.
The elders are called to protect the flock because they are the under shepherd under the great shepherd till the shepherd returns and they have to give an account. So there is protection inside the church, but then with the sacraments are baptism and the Lord's Supper. Those are the two different acts that we do to look back on what Jesus did for us on the cross, remind us of that and the penalty he paid for our sins, and looking forward to when he's going to come again. So when you're not involved in the body, or you're not involved in a good local church, you are missing out on growing in the word together and growing in discipline and discipleship together. And also you're missing out on the beautiful elements of the church, which you can say, oh, we do it at home. But, these are called to do when the church body comes together, baptism and Holy Communion. So if you can say, you know what, I love Jesus, but the church ain't for me, I'm not saying that you're stupid and you didn't get your head on straight, but it's more the fact of, I want to say, well, why do you feel that way?
Right.
Is it the fact of which is valid. You've had a bad experience. You've been burnt.
Church hurt.
You've been
we have an episode on that.
By pastors. You've been burnt by congregation members. I mean, there's so many pastors nowadays that swindle money, that do all these things. And we had a great conversation with Tim and Sarah Carroll, where Tim was just starting to get back into his faith. And then they found out that their pastor was embezzling the tar out of that church, and then stole a bunch of stuff when it just went missing, and he said he never saw it, but like tons of media tech was just gone after he dipped. And they're all like, what's going on? And Tim was like, if this is what the church is, I don't want any part of this. So what am I supposed to do with my faith now? And so there is legitimacy into being hurt by the church, which sometimes then makes us beg the question of, is the church to corporatize in that protection? And I do know this is where a lot of Methodists and even Catholics and Eastern Orthodox will say that's where there is protection in the top-down system, because they make sure that that the people in the pews aren't running the show and destroying this work of God in there. And I'm not saying that's the best answer for everything either, but at the end of the day, if someone was to say, can I love Jesus but not love the church, I would say, but the church is Jesus's bride. And if you're not going to love someone's bride, how can you be friends with that? It's almost like someone saying, I love you, I can't stand Beth.
So,
and I can't be friends with you.
I don't know where it's at, but I don't remember what book it's in. But it says, how can you
the Bible?
How can you say you love me and hate your brother? Is that 1 John?
Man.
I don't remember.
If it's love me, it'd probably be in the Gospels.
Yeah, maybe. So I just want to read Hebrews 10:19 through 25 real fast.
Okay.
And
then we'll the final thoughts.
And then we'll go ahead and do.
Well, read the next 5 questions.
Yeah. So therefore, brothers, since we have confidence to enter the holy place by the blood of Jesus, by the new and living way that he opened for us through the curtain, that is through his flesh, and since we have a great priest over the house of God, let us draw near with true hearts and full assurance of faith, with our hearts sprinkled clean from an evil consciousness and our bodies washed with pure water. Let us hold fast the confession of our hope without wavering, for he who promised is faithful. And let us consider how to stir up one another to love and good works, not neglecting to meet together, as is the habit of some, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day drawing near. So I just want to say, if the church is screwed up, we're called to help help them in love do good works. We're supposed to call and bring them along with us in this, and that's the habit we should be forming, not the habit of some people who don't mean we should be assembling with the body of believers to do that. So.
And we talked about this too, where it's, just because you are part of a church doesn't mean you have to be in that church for forever either. And so there's times and seasons to be part of different bodies and different groups, but there is something to be said about submitting yourself to the elders of the church for their teaching and for their shepherding and for their counsel, being part of a body with, like you said, accountability and just making sure it's going on. Like I have accountability at New Life. Like if crap's going on, I know Caitlin's gonna be up my butt doing like, yo, bro, what's up? You don't look so hot. You all right? Like I have that when I go to church every single Sunday. I have it here for the podcast for you. And even though we're not the church, the Bible even says when 2 or more are gathered together, I'm there in your midst. So there is something to be said about that.
Right.
But when we see Jesus's bride the church, we do need to love the bride as well. You might not like that local gathering and maybe that local gathering needs to get their heads out of their own butt. Let's just call it like it is. But you do need to find a body of believers where it's like, and even you might be like, I don't agree with all the different points of theology that you teach, but I know you love Jesus. You guys walk out your faith. Well, there's room for conversations in different parts where there's secondary issues. We can have some of these conversations, but we're going out and living in our faith, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that either.
Yeah, no, and but I think that you should, like we've said, finding your tribe is not finding a tribe that like, oh yeah, I'm calling this
bunch of yes men, right?
I'm calling this my tribe because we agree, but as soon as we disagree with one thing, I'm bouncing. Like there's something to be said about commitment, right? You want true relationships, you want that openness and that honesty, you have to commit yourself just like that other body of believers needs to commit themselves to you, which goes back into our membership conversation. This is why many churches have a membership. It's that commitment that you're making to that body and that body is making to you.
All right, so you ready for this?
Let's go.
Here's the 5 questions that we have not gotten to yet that we're going to get to next week. And we're going to keep the banter at like nothing because this is going to take the whole time. You right?
Sure.
Question number 5. Pastors shouldn't have a rich or lavish lifestyle, or more so, can a pastor have a rich and lavish lifestyle?
Yep.
Number 6, should women be allowed to preach on a Sunday morning even though they're not like the lead pastor? Because an elder is different than the person just speaking. That's what that one is. Another one is if God chooses the elect, then doesn't he also choose the non-elect? And therefore, did he create people to suffer in hell? The next one is, do people actually stay in hell for all eternity, eternal conscious torment? And the last one is, can Christians cuss? What is even a cuss word? That's what we want our hot takes to be. So, and there is a caveat because words are cultural and fluid and change.
Yeah, we definitely disagree on some of these. I guarantee it.
It's gonna be good. So we got some good hot takes on some of these next points coming up next episode. But before we go, we can't leave yet. You know what time it is now, Fuller?
What time is it?
Time for Fun Facts with Fuller.
All right, bro. You got to get a new fun fact for next week's episode. You only got one prep. Right. So, what is the fun fact, though, to end this wonderful first time recorded in 2024?
So, the fun fact of the day is, did you know Hawaii gets 3 feet closer to Alaska every year? The Aloha State sits on a tectonic plate called the Pacific Plate that shifts closer towards the mainland every single day.
No way.
Yeah, so every year we'll get just a little bit closer to Hawaii. So, baby, in about 50 years, maybe we'll be close enough we can take that trip to Hawaii.
So, my question then is at what point are Hawaiians Alaskans and Alaskans Hawaiian?
Ooh.
And when is...
See, this is why we made a mistake. Because they're going to be a part of us anyway.
But for real, they moved...
Yeah. 3 feet closer.
I'm curious to see how long it's going to take before they would get close to Alaska. Like, how many years would that take?
Yeah, we'd have to figure out the distance. Maybe we'll do that.
Because if they're 1,000 miles away, I mean,
maybe we'll do that as part of our short banter, and we'll figure out what the miles are from Alaska to Hawaii.
That's wild, dude. You know what else is wild?
What's that?
That people have been listening to this podcast for many, many, many weeks, and you have not either A, liked and subscribed.
Yep.
Or followed.
Yep.
Or B, have not joined the Facebook community group where all of these questions originated. So if you are new to the podcast or you've been listening for a while and you haven't really jumped into the Facebook community, I would encourage you to do such. You can stalk, you can creep, you can scroll till the cows come home. You can do whatever you want to do inside of there. But it's an amazing community where we are able to ask questions, continue conversations, pray for one another. And we also even have a Bible reading devotional group where they actually have a chat inside of. Yep. They have a group inside of the group. I mean, anyone can join
devotions
it. They're doing devotions and conversations together. Like, we got people in the group reading the Bible together, which I'm a part of. And this has been a really crappy week. And your boy has only read like 1 day out of the 5 so far. It has not been good. So your boy needs to get his butt back on the wagon and keep on going on.
Yeah, and if you haven't already, go over to YouTube, hit that subscribe button and that bell notification. So when we're on, you are notified, just like we thought we were somehow live tonight, but we're not really live.
It just showed another thumbs up on the screen. So I don't know if that's StreamYard doing something or what. I don't know.
I'm not sure. But yeah, go ahead and check us out over there. Subscribe. I think we're over almost like 1,100 subscribers or something over there. That's pretty awesome. So yeah, go check us out over there.
And if you want some merch, head over to the website, realtalkchristianpodcast.com. Hit the store tab and get all your merch there. And if you have any questions where you're like, maybe I want to ask them this question or I have a question about the faith. I mean, shoot, guys, we've done over 200 episodes. we probably have covered something similar. So
Go to the search
hit
bar.
the search bar, find the episode, and get the answers that you need. Come back next week, same time, same place for Hot Takes Part 2. So until then,
take it easy.